Hello, welcome to Tea Time with Flowers, my channel here. If you're new here, this is my space where I talk about food for thought, thoughts that inspire, and thoughts that inspire change in our lives. So we're all about overcoming and breaking through to the other side. Let's get into it today. Small town kids got it rough. So I was originally thinking about scarcity mindset, and if you don't know what scarcity mindset is, it's basically believing that there isn't enough to go around, there isn't enough opportunity to go around, there isn't enough money to go around to do whatever you want to do. So we fail to even try some things, and that's scarcity mindset in a nutshell. And as an example, a personal example of mine, something that I had a scarcity mindset about was I really wanted to be a National Geographic photographer. But time went on and I'm like, dang, this field of photography is just so saturated. There's no way that I'm ever going to make it, which definitely isn't true, right? Like, people do make it still, even today. And I realize now, in retrospect, if I really, really wanted to, I could have pushed hard enough, and I'm sure I could have made that happen. But a lot has happened since then. I have a lot of different goals now, but it was that scarcity mindset that kept me from ever pursuing that, and it's just not correct. But my train of thought naturally went to thinking about being a small town kid and growing up in a small town, and how I think that affects scarcity mindset a lot. And it's not to say that scarcity mindset isn't a thing that happens everywhere, even in the city, because it definitely is. It is a common mindset to suffer and have, but I just feel like growing up in a small town, unless you happen to be blessed with very entrepreneurial family or entrepreneurial programs who really gave you a first-hand experience or example that, hey, I really can do all of these things, it's a lot more difficult to change. And I see it very commonly among my small town comrades, I guess I could say. And let's be honest, a lot of us growing up in a small town, we had parents that were drug addicts or alcoholics and didn't really set the expectation correctly, right? And I'm telling you now, if you do have a scarcity mindset, the sooner you can start thinking differently, the better, because it actually takes a very long time, at least for me, for ourselves to actually believe in our subconscious that it's true. We really can do things and have these opportunities, even if there's already someone else doing it. It's like they say, you tell a lie long enough and often enough, you start to believe it's truth. And that goes for anything you want to tell yourself, really, even on the positive side. So me being someone who I feel like was already predisposed to have that growth mindset, that I can do anything, that kind of mindset. Even me, it's taken me years to actually feel like I believe it in my subconscious and act upon it in real life. So if that's you, then definitely start today, because it might take some time for your subconscious to actually believe that and put it into action for yourself in your life. My hope is that it is sooner than me, but it's also like the saying, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, right? But I feel like being in the city after having grown up in a small town really kind of helped solidify and get rid of that scarcity mindset, for me anyways. Because out here, every other day you see a new business coming up, and you see a guy who just 2 years ago started something and now he's wildly successful, and you really see it in action and how much opportunity there really is out here. And it's just harder to ignore in the city. I think it's still present in a small town, but it's harder to ignore out here. But it's definitely helped me open my eyes. And one thing I've observed that I've also noticed helping with the scarcity mindset is seeing that people who do business don't always and aren't always going to do business with the same people. Or if we don't want to talk about businesses, if it's something that you want to like just be a creator in, like photography or something, or like a YouTube channel, then sometimes there's space. There's not already too many. But for example, let's say you wanted to start up a landscaping business and you feel like maybe that's your calling right now, but you fail to act because you're like, well, there's already 10 landscaping businesses here. This is already a small town of 40,000 people. Who needs another landscaping business? You know, I'm never going to get any business. These guys over here, they already own the game. And something that I really noticed is that does not matter at all. Of course, saturation does play a role in things, but at the end of the day, a lot of people continue to do business with people because that's what they're comfortable with. That's what they know, and they just want to keep things simple in their life. But if somebody like you comes along and fixes maybe the irritating things that people deal with the go-to company, but people have just kind of dealt with it because they've always worked with them, people will use you instead, especially if they didn't have any personal ties to the person they were doing business with. And this also goes for so many things. Like, for example, you want to start a creepy YouTube channel or a deep crime YouTube channel. You know, there's hundreds of those out there, right? So does the internet really need another one? And you just have to realize that how many people there are here, just how many people there are in the world and on the internet. Like every day, a new person is gaining access to the internet that didn't have it before, that maybe would love to hear what you have to say, you know. But I think personalities play a lot into things too. So I mean, maybe people have been watching or doing business with a certain person because they're okay, you know, they kind of like them or they like it, but you come along and you resonate with certain people more. They will watch your content or go with your business versus the other guy. Like, there's certain personalities that resonate with certain people more than others, and that's why some people are your friends and some people aren't, right? And so I think that really plays a role as well. It's just a big thing you can do for yourself to realize that there is enough opportunity, and just registering that maybe you have something a little different than somebody else has to offer, you know. But another part I was thinking about, how small town kids got it rough. And I know none of us are kids anymore, but you know, we small town kids at heart. Unless you're a kid watching this, then obviously you're a small town kid. But living in a small town kind of defines you in a way. I think it differentiates you in a way. So you end up moving to the city for opportunity, growing up as a small town kid. And if you're like most people who grow up in that small town most of your life, you're not going to love the city, or at least not for very long. It's not fun. You know, you're used to going to your local mountain and maybe seeing a couple people. Then here in the city, there's no solitude. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter how far off the beaten path you go. You're gonna find people, and that's something that I've struggled with. And I've known other people that have struggled with that after growing up in a small town. It's kind of like a trap. You know, you make all these connections in the city, you get all this opportunity here, and it makes it hard to leave, even if you hate it. Whereas people who grow up in the city, they have easy access to these opportunities and they don't think twice about the place they live. It doesn't bother them. They're used to it, you know? Where a small town kid just trying to make something of themselves in the city kind of has to compromise for a while and just try their best to make it, and then also try to make it back to the simpler small town life. And meanwhile, it's getting harder to get to that simple small town life because everyone else who's been living in the city forever is also realizing just how much it actually sucks. And that's not to say I immediately hated the city. Sure, it's cool for a while, you know, like there's so much to do, but then you realize, yeah, there's a lot to do, and most of it will drain your bank account and distract you from the task at hand in your life and what you're actually trying to accomplish in life. Or you try to do something free and there's just a horde of people there that you're not used to. And so I think the small town kids kind of get it rough in that way too. But you know what? There are also a multitude of positive things that come from being grown and raised in a small town. When a majority of people you meet grow up in the city, it really differentiates you and sets you apart in a way that people can and do notice, if you're trying to make things happen for yourself anyways. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I just wanted to share some solidarity with all the other hometown homies out there. You know, that I feel you, I understand you, and that we can make big things happen. There's always enough room for you to earn a spot in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. You just gotta shoot your shot, man. So I hope we can all get our mind out of the scarcity mindset gutter, because that's usually when I see dreams and destiny come to fruition, and that's what I'm all about. That's what I love to see. But much love to y'all. Hope you have a great week. Peace out.